Welcome to Nintendo Voice, your voice for everything Nintendo. This is episode 97, recorded on the 20th of June 2017. My name's Lewis Pugh, and joining me to talk Nintendo, we have Harrison Milfeld.
What's up?
And it's just myself and Harrison today.
Yeah.
Colin is absent. He's on a holiday, I believe. He's not with us, though.
I seemed like you had that long pause in between after like my name, and I was thinking like you had to recorrect yourself. You're like, oh yeah, Colin is not here this time because we still have his name on our notes. So that's the thing.
I was expecting him to join any moment, but no.
Just phantom. Like we're in the middle of like, I'm still here.
Yeah, he'll be back next week, I believe. So if you missing Colin, he'll be back next time. Don't worry, don't panic. It's all fine. But we have it's actually a little bit of a smaller show today. We've been on a kind of a run of long shows recently, and especially with E3, we have a little bit of a simpler show. But we do have some what we've been playing, which we've been absent of recent weeks, and we've got some Nintendo news, and we do have the bonus round. And so let's jump straight into some what we've been playing, have a little catch up. And I think we'll be playing some similar games, to be fair.
Yes, one that it's one word and it's a little stretchy, I think. Whatever. What is that?
It can be stretchy, yeah, especially in the application we're talking about.
But I guess
assuming we're talking about the same thing here.
Yeah, we are talking about ARMS, of course.
Good. I can watch for a moment.
Yeah. I'm probably going to say that you've been playing a lot more. I mean, we both played the test punch. We both played both weekends of the global test punch. Yeah. And as we had said before, this was something that really kind of helped convince me just to pick up the game so far. But judging from reviews, and hopefully this is going to be improved with the free updates, is that, yes, going in, when you're playing single player with the Grand Prix, it is quite bare bones. And I really hope that they do update that probably in some shape or form where it gets a little bit more exciting. I don't know, something... Take, for instance, like when you have a certain fighting games where when you have a certain character and you were able to give a bit of a backstory to them, and at the end you get like either an animation or something part of the story. Because Nintendo has promised that there is going to be ARMS lore. ARMS lore is coming. So
yes.
It's just the imagination is going to be building out all throughout this. And again, I briefly played the retail version of ARMS just for a little hour. My first character actually went through the Grand Prix was Kid Cobra. The thing I really didn't like so much about him, though, is that when it comes to his dashing move, he's not particularly fast, but like doesn't really move like from left to right as far as a dash. But I guess that's a little bit more prevalent when he's jumping. And I don't know, I just like his grab mechanic, whatever. I just love that animation of him, just like once you grab him, just like kicking you straight in the air. I don't know. I'm a sucker for little animations like that. But yeah, it just kind of goes back to the fact like that this is, that Grand Prix, as bare bones it is, and lack of kind of other options to it, whatever. I mean, I would. Am I regretting this? No, not at all. It's just short sample size to my time with it. But from what I did play the test function online, I'm generally happy that I have this right now. But what about you though? What about you?
So on ARMS, I mean, the Grand Prix is an interesting thing. I'm quite curious about how the kind of difficulty balance works, because I know you have to complete at least difficulty 4 to unlock the ability to play ranked matches online. And I've actually struggled on 4. I've not been able to beat 4 yet. And which makes me curious in a positive way, like how much of a kind of a skill gap there is between like a beginner and someone who's very proficient, who's played a lot of ARMS. And so that was frustrating at first, but the way I kind of reassured myself is that at least pardon the pun, the game has legs. Like you can hopefully have very skilled players playing against each other at a level that we're not even necessarily comprehending at this point. And that's cool, but I do kind of want to play ranked. But maybe this is the game telling me that you're not ready yet. Don't worry about it.
Well, I say ranked is if you beat it level 4 or above, right?
Yes.
One of the Grand Prix, and you haven't, because one is laughably easy, obviously.
Yes.
But you're saying you're having difficulty with the fourth round, or you're just not really getting into it?
Oh, it hasn't. No, I've not been able to beat number 4. I've done one, 2, and 3.
Mm.
But there seems to be a jump between 3 and 4.
Quite the jump, I seem. But yeah,
so that's cool.
It's a toughie. It really is. And this is, I don't know, it's a game for me, whatever, that I feel like if you had just had you had a great concept of this, whatever. I mean, I feel like the thing that gets this game going is its colorful cast of characters. I feel like if you just did something really generic with each one, it really wouldn't have that same life to me or interest that I had. I mean,
yeah, I don't think Springman could really carry his own game without his crew.
Yes, essentially. I mean, and again, we're going to be getting more soon too, and I'm wondering how big that roster is going to get.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, yeah, the whole like delivery method or just kind of the frequency really is going to be the interesting point. Like whether they've got like 4 extra characters planned and they're going to span them out over the next year sort of thing, or whether it's going to be a character a month or every other month and just keep that going until you've got this roster which is like twice or 3 times the size as it originally comes out.
Weren't you the one that predicted that this was originally going to be set at 10 characters?
Yes.
Yes, I forgot whether it was either a tweet or I think it was on the show when I was not initially here for a while.
It was one of those direct predictions, and I said, yeah, they'll have the 3. I can't remember how many characters it was at that point, but they would reveal as much as they would to get to 10, and that would be it for what comes in the package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a matter of like how big the gap you're going to get as far as like these updates to it. But and as this was shown last week at E3 when we had 3 separate invitationals for, Pokken Tournament DX, Splatoon 2 and ARMS. Of course, Nintendo even started off their own little esport account called Nintendo Versus. So there's that. They're showing their little dedication of like how much they're taking this kind of whole venue, this area that gamers are going to, like a bit like how seriously they're taking it. And yes, they want to kind of get involved with it. Now, of course, the subject of Smash, though, is different given that I think Nintendo was recently quoted that I forgot it was either Reggie or Trennan or something. I had to pull out the quote that they wanted to keep Smash at a grassroots level at some sort. So there's that. But did you watch the ARMS Invitational by chance?
I watched parts of it.
Did you watch the ending? How that, like, after the initial champion was crowned and the producer...
Yes, he comes out and just
annihilate them.
Yes.
Annihilate them. Because I didn't watch it at first live because I think I was out and about, whatever. But then again, I just kept seeing these GIFs of like a one showed person, whoever, I forgot the guy's name, but wins the ARMS tournament, whatever. And then it shows the producer, whatever. And the GIF is just basically a guy celebrating and a frying pan comes and hits him in the back of the head. So that's where I'm like, what exactly happened? And I watched it and it's like, yeah, wow, just wow. So, and I'm just glad that this is something that's actually working out for it, even if there's room for improvement for something like that for a game like ARMS. So,
definitely,
mm-hmm.
and I think we'll see that, like, beyond the extra characters. I think we will see like something like a new mode drop or just tweaks, but more significant. Another thing I did want to mention about ARMS, and this is like a kind of a take that I often bring to games, which is, local co-op play or just local, multiplayer in general. And like on the face of it, you would kind of think ARMS is like the perfect game where you go, all right, you get like 2 people in the same room and you have like a split screen fight. And it's kind of, it dawned on me before doing this podcast that although I've played a lot of ARMS with 2 people in the same room, I've yet to actually play against the person in the same room and not even questioning it. Yeah, because it's just a really fun co-op game, oddly. And that's because all the modes support it. So you can play the Grand Prix with like 2 people going through the Grand Prix, and then The way that works is there's 2 opponents each time, so it's not like you're overpowered. And obviously you can go online with the party mode, and that works really well with local co-op fighting against, teaming up to fight against the world. And it's kind of, I think, oddly, one of Nintendo's best examples of like this sort of cooperative, but also competitive, like it's a cooperative team being competitive with other people. And it's a really fun experience. And that's how I've played this game most so far. I've kind of not played it much as a solo experience. And
it hasn't been too stressful or too cumbersome, working together is just on a team just to, defeat, 2 other opponents, or whether it's a boss character.
No, it's worked really well. And it's like the way the party mode works is you're not actually always playing at the same time. I mean, you often are. And obviously you often are as a team while you're doing it. But sometimes it's just one person, the other person watches. But it still works quite well because it's a fun game to watch. And the other thing I wanted to mention was, I'm thinking it now though, is I think in the party mode itself is because it, groups you separately, or you have a battle where it's the 2 of you, or it'll just be the one, or you're playing volleyball, or you'll mix up the modes. It does kind of have this nice pace to it, where you're kind of interested to see what's coming next, instead of just a monotonous, just ongoing of like 1 versus 1 matches. It's interesting to see what's around the corner. And a question I had for you, actually, it's a slight tangent, but it links up to the party mode and the boss stuff we were talking about. Is like sometimes you will see, and I forget his name now, but the head boss character. Head something.
Hang on. I'm looking that up. Just continue, John.
Yeah, my question is though. So I assume because you see a level next to him when you fight him in like the party mode, and I was wondering if that directly relates to a level he would appear on in the Grand Prix.
Headlock is his name.
Headlock, yeah. Or if that's like just a separate system. Like I'm wondering if he goes up to level 9 like the Grand Prix does. I guess we shall see.
Yep. But overall, we are enjoying our time with ARMS, though.
Oh, definitely. And the last thing I want to mention, it was actually the thing I was going to talk about before, and I completely forgot, and I pretended to remember and talk about something else. Is that what is also quite good for co-op is, so far at least, I've mostly been playing it with myself on motion controls.
Okay, wow.
My partner on the Pro controller. And so it's quite bizarre, really, because like that's our personal preferences. And it works really well. And it's just nice to have this game. And I think it's something I've mentioned before, but before I played it, it's cool to have this game which you can like justify either having like traditional controls or motion controls. And there is like this honest discussion around it. It's not like, oh, one camp is definitely the better one and the other one just doesn't know what they're doing. It's really quite cool, especially in whether it's cooperative or competitive. You can play with these completely different play styles, and it's all fair game.
You see, that's the thing where it got to me about like the motion control portion of it, whatever. I mean, the thing is, you don't want to get too exaggerated with your hand motions. And that's what got me in trouble at first, because being the dummy I am, I was like, oh wow, I'm just going to be doing this. It's a matter of like trying to curve your punches pretty well with this.
Yeah.
And I think it's just those motions where it's just like a flick of the wrist almost, where it just feels almost, feels vibrant a little bit. Yes. Now, I have heard though, it just, you have this discussion of like about, it's almost split down the middle where it's like, hey, you have this game where either option's okay. But once you get to say the competitive scene of sorts, that's where it's going to get a little bit muddied up where, yeah, you're wanting to have the Pro controller out there probably. Or
yeah, I'd imagine so, because when you get to like, genuine competitive play on that sort of tournament level, like you do get some other issues or some other considerations at least, which is like, for one, there's like this big traditional, wide controllers, low latency. Make sure there's nothing which is some small wireless blip which would put you out your game potentially. And so that naturally would lead you down to the Pro controller anyway. But just the fact that a traditional controller is more reliable in its repetitiveness, as it were. You're going to do the same thing 100 times, but on motion you might get a slightly different result. So I think pro, hence the phrasing, pro players will probably go with pro controllers. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a small portion of that competitive scene which do rock those Joy-Cons. Like a 25% of them. But I reckon there'll be like some Joy-Con players in the top 10s.
I'm trying to remember if during the ARMS competition or invitational there was somebody on there. Again, I'm trying, I'm having this mental image. I think the guy who won did use them.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that's how I think. It's like it left my mind so quickly on there, except for that ending where the producer just pummeled him. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually getting more time with this and hopefully going a call to arms almost, whatever, with you. So,
definitely. So let's jump over from arms to something else we've been both playing. And would you like to lead, Harrison?
Yeah. Again, I can only briefly talk about this one just because during E3 week, I never really jumped into it and work and such. And I'm actually reviewing a game for Pure Nintendo right now called Elliot Quest, which is the 3DS version of it. I have to get really on that right now because it's just, I've been putting it off too much and everybody asking for it. So the game that I'm playing right now did get released right before E3. The Switch version was Shantae Half-Genie Hero. And I kind of waited out on this one when it initially was first on the Wii U because I think with the Switch on the horizon, I kind of got to the point where I'm like, okay, I know this is obviously going to be coming to this one. So I just kind of waited out. And I think as far as only reviews that I saw read from it, whatever, is like the one thing that I loved about Pirate's Curse, though, was using Risky Boots' her abilities, because I felt like you could just use that switch on the fly so easily and just kind of came right to you, whatever. I mean, it just felt so natural. And now this one returns more to Shantae's animal abilities. And I remember, I think, was it Risky's Revenge? That was a bit of a knockdown, like a negative against it, because of how it just felt. It took you almost out of the action, almost just switching between these abilities. Yes, they were necessary for progressing, obviously, to getting in a game like this. It's a Metroidvania type of game. But once they announced that they were returning to Half-Genie Hero, I did get worried, but in a short bit of time I've gone through, it's seamless. It works well. I mean, when I was using Risky's equipment, though, in Pirate's Curse, though, it just, like I said, like that. It just, any moment where I felt very necessary, whether it was using a cannon or using the hat, it just came to me like that. I don't know. It just quick like that, and made so much fun. But
I see what you mean. Like the kind of the more traditional animal transformations, they do kind of slow your momentum down throughout a level. They are necessary to progress, and they are neat in their own way, but they do seem to kind of grind you to a halt more so than not. And there's some few exceptions. But yeah, a lot of them is you kind of stand in the middle, you do your thing, and then you go back and
do your thing, your genie dance, whatever.
But so we got to talk about the HD rumble effect when you're dancing.
Yeah, I didn't try those out yet. I've just been using handheld mode and the Pro Controller one. So again, I only played an hour of it so far, and that's just my brief portion of it. I'm on the first area where it's mermaids. So, but one thing I gotta say about this, I love the art to this. That's one thing I got to tip my hat to for Way 4, whatever. I mean, they definitely took what they did with DuckTales Remastered and definitely just applied it to this, and it shows. So even there's little points where it just, where you see Shantae interacting with other characters, it's just these separate sides of reaction poses and whatnot. But when you're in certain modes or menus, whatever, I think, what was it, when you're with Sky, for instance, and you're on top of the bird, whatever, going to different areas. There is that little bit of
Yeah.
animation that goes through. I'm like, oh, okay, that's very nice. You know, and it's well done. So I mean, that's one thing that's what drew me when I knew when this game first started out on a Kickstarter. So, but you're a little further than me though. So how do you feel about it?
Well, I have to kind of echo your thoughts in terms of just like the animation and the art quality, like superb. It's one of the most, like, it's a weird thing to say, but it's one of the most prettiest games I've seen. But it is obviously a very particular type of art design. But it looks like, you know, hand-drawn animation. I'm not sure if it is hand-drawn or not. But it looks the part at least. It's just very high resolution, lots of frames of animation, very bright colors, very, you know, very sharp. And it looks great on a big TV. It looks great on the little small Switch screen as well. And but in terms of the actual gameplay, it does go back to the roots of, you know, Shantae. It is kind of just, at least the way I feel, it's kind of a, you know, a remaster or a reimagining of just the original idea for Shantae, which I think works really well here because, and I think it was kind of their idea, is it's probably a lot of people's first Shantae game, especially because this was like a big multi-platform release, whereas the previous games have only ever come out on other systems after the games got quite old on a Nintendo system.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really nicely done. It's an interesting thing, really, because I mentioned it very briefly, but yeah, when they announced the Switch port, like the one extra feature it comes with is that HD rumble. And I don't think they were necessarily making a big thing of it, but I remember like some announcement images, and it was like, oh, now with HD rumble sort of thing. It's such a small little detail. It's quite nice, but it's such a small little thing, which is when, you know, when you're holding down that transformation, well, the dance button is, you know, has that sort of beat to it, like do, 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 do.
Really?
Oh no, as like, that's like, you hear that anyway. Like that's part of just the beat of the music when you're waiting. Every time on beats, alternative Joy-Con, kind of like, it's just kind of like a short rumble, but it's kind of like a kick as well. So it just like pulses, like boom, boom.
Okay, yeah. Oh no, it goes to the beat of it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's all I've really seen of the HD rumble. Like, it's a nice little thing in itself, but it seems, I mean, and it's honest. I mean, it is in there, but I was expecting a little bit more.
Well, you got that. You got some art that's in the blue and red Switch Joy-Con color. So there's that.
Yeah, but I don't think that's in the game though.
It isn't. But didn't we just recently know? Yeah, there is going to be some DLC for this, I believe. So that's some good news.
So yeah, kind of like what Shovel Knight did when they had their Kickstarter campaign. The stretch goals didn't make it into the original release, so they're coming later as, you know, free DLC. And yeah, it's similar way to Shantae. There's a bunch of new content coming when way forward to get around to finish making each thing. And it's an interesting thing in itself, really, is like having a Kickstarter game and then having those Kickstarter goals just be like extended development, opposed to like bringing in extra resources to like bring all that in, you know, by the original deadline.
But by the original, as in like, you know, you have these goals, but it's like, hey, if we get to this amount, we will plan extra stuff afterwards. It's a nice incentive to me. And I think this is the first Shantae game that's going to have DLC.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, okay. I don't think any of us have.
But no, it's, and again, aside from WayForward's involved, like, you know, this being their baby almost. Well, Shantae's essentially the mascot of this whole like company, that whole development team. Is that it gives my fix for anybody who loves like the Metroidvania subgenre, and it I don't know, it just makes me happy knowing that it's, well, with the new Metroid game coming out, like a reimagining coming out in just a few short months, and then this coming on the hot heels of the summer, it's, I don't know, that's one thing I just love to myself, and it's like I will never shy away from. And of course, you know, we have Bloodstain coming out too. So
Lots to look forward to, and I think that's a pretty good transition. Should we get into some news?
Yes.
All right, jumping into the Nintendo news. There is a theme around most of this, which is releases, updates, and the first thing we're talking about, something which dropped today, is the version 3 of the Nintendo Switch firmware.
Ooh.
And it has lots of little things. So it's not just a stability thing. There are new things. I did have a little play around, so I'll mention the things that I noticed. At least there's probably more, and there's some things I've heard. And so I think one of the bigger ones is that you can now have friend suggestions from more sources than just the Nintendo mobile games, which was there before. But you can now add friends which were friends on the Wii U and on the 3DS, which is kind of handy. I mean, it would have been nicer to have that on day one. But I'd rather have that late than never, sort of thing. I still have sent out some requests because this feature has come in, because I go, this person has a Switch and I didn't even realize. Or it's just like, oh, I never got around to adding them because we hadn't exchanged codes.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who came to visit me last night. I did not get his Switch friend code, and again, I sigh a little bit on there, whatever, every time I utter those two words together, because I'm trying to figure out how Nintendo is actually going to get around with this, or is this just them saying like, hey, that's one way you can add friends is through, if you had friends before. It's, I don't know, or that, or just with a dedicated, username. But this is nice. I got to finally find some other people that I haven't seen a while, and there's people that add me through here in the podcast, and I've added, got that. So, yeah, that's again. There's a lot to pick around from this update we've got here. What other there's other highlights and such.
I was gonna say, one of the little ones is it was interesting on the play around of. I'm not sure whether actually is it. Actually, I might do. No sort of person I am. Is there's now a feature in the controller settings thing to like a find my controller feature, so you can basically make a controller rumble even if it wasn't connected to the console at the time, sort of thing. Like it wasn't an active player. And I tested it out and it worked. So I turned my Switch on, and it just shows you all the controllers which have connected to it before. And so I had my Joy-Cons and the Pro controller and so on. And even though I hadn't touched them that day, I told the Switch, oh, I've lost my Joy-Con, my left one, and the left one just starts vibrating on the table, sort of thing. So that works pretty well. I didn't realize it could wake the other one up. I thought that you would have to turn on the controller for it to turn on.
This is that was one thing that caught my eye a lot, as far as I wanted to read into it. And for anybody who has families out there, and people I follow, I talk to, from various different that I know of who have kids, this is going to be great for them, because they have the tiny little Joy-Cons around, and the ones that aren't connected to the system, they could go lost. And yeah, this is a good way of helping to find that whatever to you. So good job on that one, Nintendo.
Yeah, and another interesting scenario which could work is, say your friend has a Switch and controllers, and you have a Switch and controllers, and you bring them around because you're going to have some sort of just multiplayer, because two Switches can talk to each other. And then you're looking at the end of an evening and, oh no, whose controllers are whose? You could just do a rumble. You go, all right, yeah, mine.
That wow, I never did think about that way. That is actually a great idea to be whatever. I mean, there have been times where, even any console that I've owned for a while, where I just, hey, we're having a LAN party, play, Halo, for instance, or any other multiplayer game that I could probably get your hands on. And of course, when we had 360s, we all had that same white controller. And I wasn't like that person who would mark my initials inside the battery pack, but yeah, there were times where I'm like, is that yours or is that mine? Is that yours? And to make matters worse, everybody be like, well, why don't you check the batteries, the brand? It's the same brand of batteries we have. So it's that's where it gets close to it. But no, I like that. That's good thinking on there. Wow, I never really would have thought of that as well. It's pretty
cool. There's some other little changes here and there. I can't think of what they are on top of my head, though.
There is
little
support,
things, little things.
Well, I wouldn't say there's a little thing. This is one I was hopeful that they would do soon. Enabling support for USB keyboards in docked mode. So now I'm wondering if that's. I'm trying to think like what that will mean probably for. I don't know. There's a case for like wireless, keyboards probably in the future. So
yeah, probably work. Yeah, I guess anywhere that a keyboard, you can type with, it would work. I imagine you can use a USB wireless keyboard sort of thing with a little adapter.
What was the Pro controller update to it? Oh, here it is. The Pro controller can also be used as a wired USB controller as a wired USB controller. So while you're charging it, while you're charging it, you can be able to play. Unless I thought that was not the case before. So,
like the difference here is like, it would charge before if you did it, but it was still essentially a wireless controller.
Oh,
so the commands weren't going through the wire; it was just charging it. But so yeah, what the option you can do now is make it a true wired controller, and so yeah, this might be like a request like from like esports communities and such. So you have a proper wired controller, and the interesting quirk, because I did look into it on the menu, it says that if you like enable it, 'cause it is something you need to switch on. It's not just there. And the reason it's not there all the time is because it will turn off the NFC reader on the controller. I'm not sure why, but it will. But it's good to have the option now. Options, as I always say, are good.
No, that one's a pretty good one there. It shows. Hey, I guess they are listening. I'm just reading off through some of these right here. These are other little things. Like for instance, you can change the user icon order on the home menu. Okay, so there's that. And just a little thing, but I was shocked that they didn't add arms things for this. But there's now select from 6 new Splatoon characters for a user icon. I was hoping that we'd get some ARMS stuff on there because I knew whether it's themes and new icons.
Yeah.
You think after ARMS released, like even their little logos that they wear on their chest or in their like their body, like their uniforms, you would be able to get that. So
yeah, it's strange how they only added Splatoon characters. The only thing I can think of is that like they've looked at the data and like there's more people using Splatoon characters than any other sets, and so they wanted just to chuck some more out there, so there was less people with the same icon.
That game's going to be a monster in Japan.
It's going to be.
It really. You thought the first one was going to be good. Wow. Here we go. What are the other ones here? Let's see. You can now change the system volume for quick settings. You can lower the maximum volume for headphone or speakers connected to the audio jack. And here's a surprising one. Change display colors to invert colors or grayscale. And I've seen people playing around with that online for a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, there seems to be some people baffled by its inclusion, but I assume it's for accessibility reasons. Like that would just be easier to see for some people, having everything inverted.
Now there was, as far as updates, there was one that I where is this?
Yeah, there was another controller update.
Oh, it did say added. Oh, they did add a feature that suggests deletion of software data if there's insufficient space when downloading other software. Also, you can get update notifications for friends. I think for specific friends. That's where I saw. There was an update. Yeah.
Is that right? I think that's right. The other controller update I just thought of for is they added support for the Pokken tournament controller.
Oh, really?
And I've not seen concrete confirmation of this, but I've seen people talking on comment boards and such that it works on a system level as part of the update. So you can basically use it as a Pro controller, but with less buttons, which seems interesting. I mean, it seems bizarre because, but on the Wii U, that controller was only ever good for that one game, and it's got a nice big D-pad on that thing. And apparently they're quite cheap now. I would almost be curious picking one up if I could use that as a cheap, as it were, in quotes, Pro controller instead of buying extra and regular Pro controllers for players 3 and 4 and such.
This was the one thing I think I did want to talk about as well, is that they update a fix with an issue of the TVs where for a while, and this, like when I would turn on my Switch, um, like it would switch, well, it would obviously switch its inputs, whatever, while it was even in sleep mode.
Yeah.
So that was yeah, because basically it would cause certain TVs to jump to the Switch's HDMI port while the Switch was still in sleep mode. So there was that. And I think the final thing on here as far as improvements, yeah, resolved an issue that caused game software updates to fail and prevented the software from starting. So there was that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just we're hopefully these are a little bit more frequent as far as like little things, but I know this was one big update to it. I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, who knows? Maybe the next big update where it's again, it's not. I don't want it now, but obviously it's been hinted that it's going to be on there. Is whether it's you're going to have other apps included into this. So
yeah, and to be fair, I mean that might not even need a firmware update. That might just need Nintendo to approve applications, and they just appear in the shop. Yeah, and they just run, as it were. It depends if they need access to the system beyond it. Like I wouldn't imagine something like Netflix needs any extra work from Nintendo, because it's just a web service type thing. It doesn't need to talk to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But we shall see. There must be something stopping that. Whether that's a business decision or if it's a technical one.
Well, there is where the Discord wants to get involved. I know. So how that would work, who knows? Maybe. I think the one update I do want to get to this though is, I mean, running multiple apps, like applications, for instance. So where if I say in Breath of the Wild, whatever, I don't want to necessarily turn it off, whatever. Like say running 2 different apps at once, I feel like that would be a nice little addition to it. That I want to see. So
is that something like when they do actually bring like traditional apps across? Because they've done it like you can only run one game at a time, but I think you can jump to anything on that like system menu while a game's running, can't you?
You can. I was saying like, hey, like say if there was a dedicated Netflix app.
Okay, yeah. So you wouldn't have to
you just wanted to jump back and forth,
to go to Netflix and vice versa.
I just want to jump back and forth. So
yeah,
that's one I want to have.
Yeah, so. And to be fair, something like that would be something I overlooked, something on a system level. These apps would need access to, so they're not treated as games, as what the packages which come out of the shop currently. So yeah, if they want that true multitasking functionality, then yeah, there will need to be, whether it's there yet or not, some extra layer to the OS to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's a nice little update. Really, nothing like not one single thing I think which really stands out, but a lot of little things which kind of just refine the experience which is there, which is good.
I did remember one in the news posts. You can you have a like or dislike portion on there in the news post. So there's that.
And also, Sarah, see, it's full of loads of things. So yeah, the thing I just noticed on the news thing is I can't remember what button took me there, but there's something called like groups now, essentially. Or like communities, and you can follow them.
As in, okay. So if you wanted like more stuff in Splatoon or on this certain game, okay. So that
there was one for Splatoon. There's one for Mario Odyssey. I think there was one for Blaster Master and one for the smaller version of that game. Was it Burst or something? There was a handful or so, and I've not seen the responses yet. I've followed some. I've not followed others. I assume that just means that you may get extra news appear on that same feed, but if you don't follow it, then you won't. You'll just get the standard generic feed. Yeah, there's some good things out there. So we do have another update to talk about. One we've not got our hands on yet. I don't think it's dropped yet, at least. But this is a fairly significant update for Pokemon Go. A game I've not played for a long, long time.
And a game I have not played at all because of my phone. So
okay,
go ahead.
Most of the heavy lifting.
What is the new update for this?
The new update is all around the gyms, basically. There's also a kind of a raid system, but that's also joined into the gym. So I'll do my best to describe this. And I apologize if I miss things out here. The new system is that, firstly, that gyms will act like Pokestops as well. So if you just go buy a gym, you can like spin the little disc on it and you can get an item out of it. So that's just a small little change. The main change to the gym system is that there's now going to be a set kind of hierarchy of Pokemon at the gym. Well, kind of is now. But the main difference is that there is now a motivation system attached to it. And so if you knock down their motivation like per lots of different battles, that Pokemon will go out back to the original owner. And so I think that's meant to keep battles a bit more fresh. You don't just have this one like big strong guy sitting on this gym for absolutely forever, and just rotate some more Pokemon in there. I think the more interesting part of this, I mean, there are some more more details around now, but I'm just going over the highlights currently. Is the raid system, and the way that works. And I think this is going to be how they get out these legendary Pokemon. Is that once a raid is announced, essentially, I'm not sure it's all gyms or just certain gyms, but the Pokemon which was on that gym will jump back to the original trainer, and in its place will be a big egg with a timer on it. And when the timer runs down, gets down to 0, that raid Pokemon will appear. And I think it's up to 20 players at the same time can fight it. And I think it's just, I'm not sure who gets it or how that works. I probably should have looked in those details. But 20 people can fight his Pokemon at the same time. If it's anything like that original trailer, it should be everyone who participated who would get the reward. But I'm not sure the exact details. But that would be cool. Assuming like if they do use that to get those legendaries out, it's not quite as the epic scale as they pictured, but that's probably for the best, even if they did have the technology to pull that off. I'm not sure that would be a safe thing to drop on. Where was Mewtwo in that original trailer for Pokemon Go? Was that Times Square? Was that New York or
Times Square? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that could be quite dangerous if they actually try to recreate that moment in real life, just from the like initial craze. Although maybe the game's died down enough anyway, then that would be absolutely fine. But yeah, there's a lot more details out there. If you are playing Pokemon Go and you've not read all the details yet, it is out there. And I mean, if they put enough of these little updates out, maybe back in, but I don't know. We shall see. So, what would it take you to get back into Pokemon Go beyond having a different phone, I imagine?
I don't know. I guess events or anything that actually wanted to kind of, I don't know. I'm just not into that whole live event AR type of things. I guess maybe if I had started out when this became, that phenomenon first started out, I probably would have had a bit of a waning interest to it. Still, this case, I don't know. I really don't know at one point what would take me to get into it, just because I have so many other things are more interested in as far as the gaming community. But for people I do know who actually are adamant about still playing this news here, what I'm hearing right now, is sure to be up their alley and still to kind of keep them continue going on.
Awesome. So, again, keeping with the theme, updates. So on ARMS, the first DLC character has been announced, and it is Max Brass, who does actually feature in the game. He is the final opponent in the Grand Prix mode, and he's coming as a free download character in July at some point.
And this character is obviously the final boss of the Grand Prix, correct?
That's right, yeah.
So
I'm not sure how best to describe this dude. I mean, he's a big guy. He kind of looks like in a very bizarre way, like the human version of Biff, the announcer.
I would say yes.
Does
He's
he seems to have that kind of fist design on his head as well, just it's slightly more subtle.
well, that and his arms are basically that of the belt many belts he's won. So I'm sure there's just a little bit of conceitedness into this person.
Yeah. So yeah, he seems to be a cool character. I mean, I think he'll add to the balance quite nicely. I think that kind of another large character is a good thing for this roster currently. And the fact it comes out next month is pretty cool. It kind of goes back to the points we were making earlier on, is like, how frequently are they going to be there? Is this setting the pace where it's going to be, every other month? Or is it just the fact that, this character is essentially already in the game, so it's not a huge amount of work to turn them into a multiplayer character, opposed to actually making one from scratch? But we shall see, and that's all we can do is wait for data miners to look into some sort of small update of ARMS in the future to reveal 3 extra characters who will be coming up next. And for our last piece of news, would you like to take the honors, Harrison, seeing as you added it?
Yes, I know. This is related to Metroid. Well, for Metroid, Samus Returns, and this actually is about the creator of the fan remake of last year, AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake. As his name goes by, Dr. M64. Of course, we talked about this before when it was first released back on the 30th anniversary of the Metroid series. And of course, a few days afterwards, the game was given a cease and desist and shut down, but you could still find this through different various ROMs or torrents. And then they were wondering, after this reimagining of Metroid 2 by Nintendo was shown, the thought was thinking, like, one, it made sense of why I guess Nintendo did pull the plug on this one, and two, what did the creator of AM2R actually think about this? Well, the short answer is he's not mad. He is not mad about it, unlike what some may want to think about it. Coming from Kotaku, though, there was a quote that he was spoken about, like, how he thought about the project. If I can find it here, is, well, I'll read the story here. Coming from Kotaku. Okay. Dr. M64 spent over 10 years making Metroid 2 Samus Returns in his free time, only to have Nintendo send him a DMCA and have his project taken down. Now that Nintendo has announced their own reimagine of the same game, he's just pumped as everyone else. Now, some of these, this comes from Twitter. It says, Nintendo won E3 for me. Samus Returns looks like Metroid 2 I always wanted to play. Looks like another part of AM2R. Still makes sense now. So, I guess that's another play to saying, like, hey, it does make sense knowing that this is just another Metroid 2 remake. So, that's good to hear on there. Although this is essentially, there has been a bit of an uproar from a very small contingent of the Metroid fan base, which of course, you know how bit of an uppity they can get, and you need to be an opinion out there. It's just, again, this is a very small contingent, and I'm not saying it's going to affect, but there are some out there that are simply outright refusing to buy, Nintendo's own reimagining of Metroid 2 because of them shutting down AM2R. They are basically taking their own allegiance to that remake, and I just don't understand. I mean, I know this is just a small number of people, but why? I don't know. It's just you can have both of these essentially in the same universe that we are in, but yet only one should stand about. I understand. I mean, when this remake was announced, my first thought came to it was like, okay, yeah, it does make sense now why Nintendo did that, but also when initially did it, how disappointing it was to get it shut when the project was shut down. Two things came to my mind: is that one, and then it's been confirmed that Yoshio Sakamoto had said that they had watched this project for years, like they knew of its existence, and once it was finally released out in the wild, it had about like 2-3 days until Nintendo shut it down. Now, for everybody we know, that amount of time is pretty long in internet time. So it's out there. It's out there forever on the internet.
Yeah, forever on internet time.
Yes. So I just don't understand. But no, this is very good to see, the creator of such a well-received fan remake, be just excited to see another reimagining of this, this this classic Game Boy game, and one that is definitely in needed time of an update. So, yeah, that's really what I got to say for it right now. And I've been kind of just going through some different um, portions of interviews with Yoshio Sakamoto, and one I think caught my eye was when he was talking about why to choose the 3DS, and I think it was something about how it all had to lead to install base, and one I think it was like the touchscreen, because I think that's one thing you couldn't really replicate the Switch right there. Well, is that dual screen where you have that extra map, because more and more footage I see of AM2R of I just call it AM2R and is of Samus Returns, is it's going to be very, very nice to actually mark different locations. So that's one thing I'm going to like about it.
Yeah, and just kind of going on that same train of thought, is that it's bizarre how we've not had a Metroid game yet, like at least a 2D platform Metroid game on one of the dual screen systems at all. Yet, like, that configuration is such a good design for those Metroidvania games where you can just have that dedicated map. A game where that makes so much sense. Oddly, we've had none appear till now. Like at its last opportunity, it seems. And I think for that, it's cool to have it, like to see what Metroid would be like on the DS format. That ends like this has probably been cooking for quite some time, so it probably wasn't so much a matter of whether we put this out on the Switch or the 3DS. It was probably more a question of whether we do this for 3DS or for Wii U, and then they were thinking about what sort of game they wanted to make and what sort of budget it was going to be and blah blah blah, and obviously of course of how how many of those devices are out there, and then the 3DS seems to make a lot more sense.
Well, yes, and they want to give it life out there, whatever, something like. But also, this game's it's actually done. This game is actually Samus Returns is actually done. But of course, I think you want to wait for that good release window to actually, to hopefully this game actually can get some momentum through sales. So, and I have to say, for those people who have been demanding so long, it's like, I mean, I don't want to force anybody out there as far as like the purchasing thing. It's like, hey, if we want to get more of these, it's now is to put where our money and where our mouth is. So,
and if you don't mind, I'm going to interject with a comment from the live chat. We've got Morden Solace says, people have been begging for a DS Metroid ever since 2004-ish. And now that it's there, people whine that it's not on the Switch, which is not dual screen. But yeah, it would be cool to see like we've technically seen dual screen Metroid games, but they've all been of the side Prime era. And that's not like just looking at like Federation Forces. That's like at the weird Prime games which were on the DS, whether it was Pinball or whether it was Hunters or so on. They were dual screen Prime games, but not a traditional one.
So, is that all for news? I guess.
I think that's going to be all for news. So let's jump into that bonus round. It's not the biggest bonus round we've had by a long shot, but
it's my fault because I forgot to post it. So
it's all our fault, really.
We screwed it all up.
Yeah, if I could say, if anyone's really quick on the live chat, feel free to chuck an answer in. I'm not sure how big the delay is here, but I'll give you a heads up before I do the official passing to the trusted hands. The question: what was your favorite part of E3 for Nintendo? If you're on the live chat, go chuck your answers in now, and I'll fish them out for Harrison if you're not looking.
Yes. So I guess I should just take over for now.
Oh yes, please. Trusted hands do their things.
Yes. Like Lewis said, last week we asked you for a bonus round question. What was your favorite part of Nintendo at E3 2017? Slim picking tiers for answers, but of course, you know, some answers better than none answers for you. I mean, we've had many times in the past where we've tried to put a good bonus round out and it's crashed and burned horribly. But thankfully, these are very good ones to actually set out. We have our first answer from Gentis at Gentis1 with Minecraft cross-platform play. Very, very upset that Sony won't play nice. Very happy otherwise. This needs to be a thing for all multi-platform games. One thing I wanted to add about that, did you know that you have to use a Xbox Live login for
That seems a bizarre detail. I mean, it's not very clear wording around it, but I'm fairly confident it's not. You don't need to have a gold subscription. But yeah, it's going to be bizarre seeing like a very Microsoft prompt appear in a Nintendo game asking you to sign into your Microsoft account.
So strange. Next answer comes from Jonathan Cruz at Green Moblin. The fact that a logo gave me chills. Yes, that's right. The Metroid Prime 4 logo. Also, okay. Also, dem assets on Pyra, which he's referring to in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Everyone noticed. Don't lie. LOL.
Now I feel bad for putting the last episode preview art up to vote because Pyrus did win, and I had my suspicions.
No, I was asking everybody's like, "What's everybody talking about?" And I look in the video. I'm like, oh, "Okay, I guess you went to the. I guess Monolith Soft went to the school of what Team Ninja used to do in their DOA games. So okay, wow." But geez Louise. But no, I was reading a discussion about why everybody was upset about the like what it's just a logo, you know, it's just a logo, and like the same thing we're talking about, like the main series Pokemon game announcement for the Switch. And I was like, Chris Kohler on Twitter, he said, like, he mentioned that old quote about like, oh, it's just a logo, who cares? And Chris said, both Metroid Prime 4 and that main series Pokemon game will be out before the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. And I thought that was going to come out sooner too, because I was like, oh wow, we have footage of gameplay, and I don't know where it is now. And then you got the subject of Kingdom Hearts 3, so I think a funnier answer would have been before Death Stranding, which of course that looks bonkers, but also it's like every little new footage, I'm like, I want to know more. What's going on?
Yeah, I reckon it will be before Death Stranding is what I'm thinking of. Which is bizarre because I'm pretty sure it's not been far in development yet, just because of the wording. Like, is in development now. They had the word now in there, but it's just is in development.
Mm-hmm. Well, who knows? And well, who knows with Nintendo though? Is that
yeah?
But also, I'm interested of like what this new development team is going to be. Is it just going to be within NCL? Or is it just going to have like, it's like, hey, we're getting a ragtag of groups of people to form like a new second party, or just this new little dream collaboration, kind of like Project Sora or Project M, what we saw. Who knows? Someone suggested to me, like, imagine if like you got some of the people who worked on like Alien Isolation, like the people who that focus on first person perspective and also dealing with, you know, you're by yourself. So that could also kind of feel like a little bit. I mean, that's just me doing pipe dream stuff. So, but it also does make me kind of. It's nice to say, like, hey, we're getting a Metroid Prime 4, but also we're getting Retro Studios' new game. So that's, which we don't know about. So that's at least that's nice too. But again, is there a concern for worry that Retro's not behind this? A little bit, but still, it's the fact that this game exists that I'm happy. And two, to be in general, 2 Metroid games. But enough of that. Next answer, though, for the bonus round comes from Taylor Crowder. Super Mario Odyssey. It looks so good, and it's my favorite type of Mario game. Of course, he's referring to the sandbox style. So, and I won't lie, I think I've watched, a week has gone by, and that song in the trailer still won't come out of my head. So
yeah, it's pretty damn catchy. I'm not sure it's, I mean, I think in terms of quality, it's better, but in terms of catchiness, I still think it loses out to the main ARMS theme now.
Yeah,
that's really, really up there for me in terms of when you hear that really gets stuck in your head afterwards.
But I did notice in that theme though that there was a sound Easter, like a little audio Easter egg in it. Um, Near the end of it, and I saw it through a tweet though, and it was it's the audio cue is from the first level of Donkey Kong Arcade, where it goes to doot 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 doot. Yeah, if you just watch the video, and near the end where it's like I think it's like Do the Odyssey or something, like portion of that song. Hear that? Yes, it's right there. So, and kind of piggyback off the whole Donkey Kong reference is that I had to pull up the tweet as well. Is that somebody's like, all right, I'm calling it right now. The final boss fight of this of Mario Odyssey is you have to face off with Bowser while throwing your cap on and taking control of Donkey Kong. And I'm like, wouldn't that be something?
I reckon part of that's true. I definitely reckon part of the end boss fight will be you throwing the hat on Bowser. Obviously, the problem is you got to get his hat off first, which they've already brought up as that's an obstacle. Like you can't throw a hat on someone who has a hat. And so the fact Bowser already has a hat means you need to get his hat off.
Hats. Oh yeah, we do actually have an extra answer here coming from Morden Solis from the live chat. His answer: the Rabbids reveal during Ubi's conference. The emotions that were shown truly sold me on the game. Honorable mentions in the mainline Pokemon announcement that got buried by the Metroid Prime 4 announcement.
That's so true.
Oh. No, I did like that. And there were people making fun of that one developer who was crying during the like art director. But that's the thing again when I mentioned about Ubi's like a presentation is like was emotion from developers and designers to show that this is hard work and they are really dedicated to their craft. I mean, it's the same thing when I see like whether you're an actor or whether you're in a different like occupation. To me, that I don't know. That just showed like yes, there's some good in this industry to me. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean that's why I've not ranked the conferences in any way, but let's put Nintendo aside. I think Nintendo, not with that, putting Nintendo aside, I think Ubisoft had the better conference. It just it was entertaining to watch. They had some good announcements in it, and it's hard to beat that Mario Rabbids reveal and having Shigsy on stage with that big plastic gun as well. I think that had the biggest applause for anything in E3, which was live.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, we say obviously, but it's Mario Rabbids,
I know.
It doesn't sound like it has the same prestige as like some of those other big games, those more mature titles, as it were, which are being shown off.
But yeah, that does take us to the end of the bonus round, and I will leave it to Lewis to pick his favorite answer.
Okay, I'll do this as one of the last reminders, or the last few. What the bonus round's all about, well, I say what it's all about, what it's been up to now at least, in terms of winning prizes, is the prizes are based on my Wii U game called Twisted Fusion, and the prizes are a digital art book and a digital soundtrack. And that's going to happen till I'm not decided if we're doing it for episode 100 yet. So at least up to episode 99. We'll probably do like a twist on that for 100, and then after that we'll do something completely different. And so who's winning today? I actually think Morden Solis. So the one who managed to sneak in their answer last on the live chat. But yeah, talking about the Rabbids reveal on the Ubisoft conference, I kind of agree. I think that was probably my favorite moments of E3. It's not even necessarily my favorite game, but it was definitely my favorite like reveal announcement, my live moment. And so Morden Solis, those Twisted Fusion goodies will be on the way to you. Let me know your contact details saying that, because I've just got your live chat. And the question we have for you next time, same prizes apply, is what hypothetical DLC would you like to see come to a Nintendo game? And this can be an existing Nintendo game, or it could just be a Nintendo game which doesn't even exist yet. So, for example, it could be a new character to a game which we already have, or a new mode, or anything really. So let us know what extra stuff you would like to see come to your Nintendo games, and the most interesting one, the one we pick, will get those prizes. And you can send your answers either on, there's a few options now actually, email hello@nintendovoice.com, or on Twitter @NintendoVoice. And of course, if you're on the YouTube, you can just leave your answer in the comments below. And I think that covers most of the things. So before we do end the show, we'll do our usual round, with the two of us at least. We'll mention our own contact details and anything we're up to elsewise, which we'd like to plug. Harrison, would you like to go first?
Yes, I'll go. You can reach me at Twitter at @HMilfeld, and you can find my Switch friend code and profile pinned to that profile as well. So if you feel like it, and anybody on Miiverse, if you're still out there, I'm Hybrid Beta. So there it is.
And anything to plug this evening, Harrison?
None so right now, but I will have to say is like I guess last week we had the people I work for at Pure Nintendo, we just started our new Patreon, and if you really love Nintendo coverage out there, or even getting a physical magazine in the mail, which is what we're planning to do, just head on to there, whatever, at patreon.com/Pure Nintendo, and you will see it right there. We're hoping to kind of grow a little bit more and just, bring out new little content, increase our footing, but also deliver a better podcast, better even columns, anything we want to do on there. It's like we're providing a lot of reviews here and out there, and we want to actually lend a hand to the Nintendo community.
That's awesome. Yeah, do head out over there, see what they're doing, and show them your support. For myself, the best way to get hold of me is Twitter, @Leuvsion, LEUVSION. In terms of anything to plug, just a general one for the show. So, and I guess more so the video content, because I'm assuming we have the more podcast listeners than we do on the video currently. If you've not yet to check out our video content, please do. It's simple. youtube.com/Nintendo Voice. It rolls off the tongue. I'm glad we grabbed all those accounts at first. We got Nintendo Voice for everything, and the .com's obviously the important one, even though no one ever uses it. Not because our website, just because websites are a dying thing, apparently. Anyway, please check out youtube.com /Nintendo Voice. Obviously, subscribe, things like you know the drill. And just a big thank you for watching and so on. And that's going to be it. And that is going to be episode 97. And so, as I kind of already started to go into, thanks once again for listening. And this, as always, has been Nintendo Voice.
Adios, everyone.
Goodbye.